Rock 102, Springfield's classic. We just got to fix this thing here for you. It's, you know what? You can't, let's see. We got to put that on mornings, and then we got to change it, and then,
College radio returns.
There you go. Here you go. Here's Marty Caproni. It's Bax and Nagle show with Marty Caproni. Bax is out until January 2nd. And we're just trolling along with a little light morning show here.
Yeah, that's it. A little light morning show.
But how's it going?
It's good. The ride in was a little crazy this morning, huh?
Yeah, a little foggy out there, just a tad.
A lot foggy.
Yeah. That fog is going to last for a good part of the day. High of 47 today. Tomorrow, rainy with a high of 48. It's 39 right now in downtown Springfield. But you had trouble getting in here, did you?
Yeah, man. It was brutal. We messaged in the morning, and I was like, yeah, I'll be there. And I left my house, and I immediately called you and was like, this is crazy. But it was worse in Chicopee than it was in Springfield and East Long Meadow, but definitely slow going.
It must be like the location you are to the river.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with that because I'm on the bank almost of the Chicopee River.
I don't know.
Lovely property.
We know several meteorologists we could ask about this phenomenon, but I really don't care.
Do we? Yeah, do we?
It's just fog.
Do the listeners care either?
No, I don't think they do. But the dense fog advisory is complicating travel during one of the busiest times of the season, including a few delayed flights at Bradley International Airport. There were up to 6 delays and 3 cancellations this morning at Bradley. 2 Breeze airline flights to Fort Myers and Raleigh, and 1 American Airlines flight to D.C. were canceled, and all of them were set to depart before 8 a.m. The cancellations are also some of the earliest flights as airlines try to wait out the fog, and that's all on top of the delays and cancellations that piled up from last night. 7.5 million Americans were expected to fly over their Christmas or New Year's destination this year, which is about a 5% growth over last year, and right now between the 2 holidays, it's the busiest time. If you have a flight scheduled today, just not just out of Bradley, check your flight status before you leave the house. Also, plenty of time to get to the airport. These are all like normal things that people should know.
Yeah, I flew a lot more pre-pandemic with the whole comedy thing, but one of my biggest pet peeves is people who don't leave on time for the airport.
I cannot stand that.
It drives me nuts.
Like, you need to be there at least an hour and a half before the
Yeah,
flight
I don't
up.
understand why you got to run through the airport. I like being there nice and early, get in, maybe get a cup of coffee or a donut or something, sit there, check your phone, charge it up.
Yeah.
I don't like being the guy running as they're closing the gate.
Well, here's the thing. I went to years ago. I went to Vegas by myself. I went on a plane.
Yeah,
it was like right 7:00 in the morning, flying directly out of Bradley. This is when Southwest was actually cool, and they had direct flights to places instead of these changeover things.
9 layovers.
Yeah, so I go there, and I'm there obviously on time, but the airport is banging. It's it's summertime. It's people are going places. It's a Sunday morning. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I get there early enough, and the security line is just ridiculous. But it doesn't matter. You're already checked in. Once you're checked in, they're not gonna. They have all that information. They know which passenger went through the security line. That all gets checked to the main computer. So these women were just like complaining, we're going to miss our flight. I'm not going to, complaining about the whole thing. And I'm like, you're not going to miss your flight. You're already here in the line. You can't, if they're holding everybody back, they're not going to make the plane just take off if they know 20 of us are standing out here.
Well, here's the thing, man. I've never missed one, but I've come close a few times on connectors usually, I think Philadelphia was one. You get a connector in Philly. So I had to take like a bus across the tarmac, and I was like and I hate being that guy, the last one on the plane where everyone's staring at you like you're a jerk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hate that.
You know what I mean? They all just stare at you like, oh, yeah, thanks.
Here he comes.
Oh, well, welcome aboard, Mr. Important. Meanwhile, I always get my tickets on Priceline because for whatever reason, and I'm always like Group 9. They're like, you're in the wheel well,
Yeah.
And so like I get my ticket, and I'm walking to the back. You got to go through first class. They're all staring at you. You got to go through all the way through coach. They're all staring at you. I just I hate it. But my favorite flying out this early in the morning story was I was flying to Denver, Colorado, and
is that where that is?
Yeah. Thanks. I helped you out.
Yeah.
And I was flying to Denver, Colorado. It was like 5:30 in the morning. I'm miserable. I hate it. The early flight. And I'm standing in line, and I'm just like waiting for them to do the whole shuffle with my bag and the whole deal. And I'm like, I'm gonna miss this flight. And then all of a sudden, I feel someone whack me from behind. I turn around, I look down, I just see they have skis. And they're like trying to load their skis into the thing while I'm talking to the gate thing, and they crack me with the skis. And I'm just about to be like, hey, mother, start swearing. And I turn around, and it's my buddy Brett Gearing from Springfield.
Of course, somebody.
Yeah. He's got his skis. He purposely hit me with his skis.
Yeah.
I was like, you're such a jerk.
I would hit you with my skis, too, if you were standing in front of me.
It was so funny. It was and it changed my whole morning. I went from being like, rah, to like, that was pretty funny. Like halfway across the country, I'm still like, that was pretty funny.
You needed that. You needed that laugh at that
Shake
moment.
me out, yeah.
What is that where have you ever seen, so you've seen people
at the airport?
Yeah.
A lot, yeah.
Like in different cities.
Yeah, and comics were always in the airport.
Yeah.
So you'll just see random comedians, and you're like, "What's up, man?" Mm-hmm. You get like 3 minutes to say hi, catch up, and then you're gone.
What's the weirdest place you've ever seen somebody that you never thought you'd see anybody that you knew? That you were far away, and you're like, "Oh my god!"
Oh, geez.
Like just happenstance to run into.
Yeah, I mean, I've had it happen in real weird places. Edmonton, Canada was one. Seattle was another one. Minnesota.
Yeah.
It's what's weird is, you're always trapped in your own world, so your life.
Yeah.
And you don't realize like people outside your life know like you or what you do or whatever, and also they know your schedule sometimes because you're doing shows or whatever. And I just see people like that I went to high school with. They'll come out to shows. Like I'm in Minnesota, and somebody was in my history class who was a senior when I was a sophomore. Shows up and like, you probably don't remember. I'm like, yeah, I remember you from history class. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just weird that you run into it. In the airport, it's usually famous people. You try to look out to see what famous people you can see in the airport.
Like O.J. Simpson or, somebody like that.
Not, yeah.
Or he's running through the airport with the Hertz. Isn't he going for the Hertz?
It's for the Hertz thing? Yeah. It's that or he murdered somebody. I don't know, allegedly. But
you separate the art from the artist, Marty. You got to really listen. He might be a murderer, but he was a great football player.
He really was. Turns out that skill set could have possibly come in handy later in life.
Kind of like Michael Jackson. Like, he might have done all these horrible things, but Thriller is a pretty good album.
You can dance to it.
Yeah. Like R. Kelly. Right?
God. I seen a video of him in prison singing and he still has the voice.
Yeah.
I was like, that's got to be the most popular dude in prison.
Well, I think he didn't lose the voice.
Yeah.
It's not like all of a sudden you go to prison and you lose your special talent that you had.
No, but it's weird when you're like, that guy is so like, I am outraged, and he's like, I'm not trying to be rude, but and you're like, oh yeah, all right, it's all right.
You know what? You can't even play those things at events anymore because
is that really a thing?
People get upset that you're playing, and I'm like, listen, how many other songs out there that you've played that you listen to and like, and you have no idea what the ideology of the person that you're listening to has? Whatever that artist has,
right?
R. Kelly, that's a great song.
Yeah.
That Ignition remix.
Listen, Bill Cosby, some of the best comedy bits I've ever heard in my life.
I know. But, unfortunately,
they're relegated to...
They have a dark side.
They're relegated to obscurity.
How do you separate that? How do you say, well, we're gonna play this one, but we're not gonna play that one?
You don't unless you are in that art, in which case you're like, I mean... You could break down an R. Kelly song of all the reasons why it's genius. If you were a music producer or an R&B singer, as a comedian.
But I'm not dismissing the fact of what he did.
No,
it's disgusting and it's horrible, and he's not a good person. However,
allegedly.
Yeah, but allegedly. Convicted and all that stuff. Yeah, allegedly.
I still say allegedly. You never know.
All right. Well, anyway, so then but he's got this great song. So it's like, it's bittersweet. How do I not listen to this?
You want to hear a crazy one? So I was always a Cosby fan. Mm-hmm. Like I always loved Cosby. Growing up, Bill Cosby. I watched his show on PBS. Remember I told you I sent $1 away for that pen that he had? I never got it.
I used to watch Fat Albert, The Cosby Show. He was America's dad.
The guy, he really, really, I mean, his catalog, very impressive, of the art he created, I will say. But do you know how he was exposed? Do you know how that whole thing happened?
How?
It happened because of another comedian, Hannibal Buress.
Oh, yeah.
Went on stage. It was like, you always tell me to pull my pants up. Maybe you shouldn't be out here drugging and blah, blah, blah.
And he does the whole thing.
Yeah. But I knew Hannibal, and I was opening for Hannibal at Foxwoods back in the day, and he brought it up somehow, and I was like, I had never even heard the rumors of it. And I remember we went to the movies together. We went and saw Men in Black 3 together.
Yeah.
Which is a real surreal experience to go to a movie with Hannibal Buress.
Buress at Men in Black 3.
It was like Mystery Science Theater 2000, where he's so funny, just off stage, hilarious. And I remember him making mention of it. It wasn't that much longer that he said it on stage, and that waterfall, the whole entire thing.
He basically brought Bill Cosby down. And the other thing was, we had scheduled an interview with Hannibal Buress. We had previously scheduled the interview before the controversy started unfolding, so it was like a month later that we were doing it. And his publicist is like, you can't ask him anything about this Bill Cosby thing. And we wound up like not even really doing the interview because he couldn't talk about anything. Yeah. And I'm like, well, what's the point of having you on if we're not going to... I mean, you started this whole thing. Why can't you finish it?
But, I think... in Hannibal's defense, I think he was saying that as a bit. I don't think he would feel bad about it because obviously it ended up doing what you could say is good for a lot of people. But he definitely it was just a bit, and somebody recorded it and posted it like on YouTube. It wasn't like, I don't think it was in like a special or anything like that.
Yeah,
and that cascaded this entire thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I could hear him I could just hear it like in my head, like him being like, I didn't expect it to be that crazy. You know, I don't know if he said that or not, but like I could hear the way he talks in my head about, stuff like that. But I get it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everyone wants to talk to you about that and not about the film that you're plugging or the special that you're pushing or whatever. I kind of get it.
But you started a conversation. And you should really finish the conversation. That was my opinion.
Arguably, he started a conversation and a very lengthy investigation and legal movement.
He doesn't talk about it now, does he? Does he talk about it on stage?
I don't think, Hannibal. Here's the thing about Hannibal, man. He's a real cool dude. He's real down to earth, really awesome guy. People don't realize how much he sat. Some people, when they get into the business, they have connections and contacts. Their mom was friends with this guy or that guy, and Hannibal, to his credit, started comedy in Chicago, moved to New York City pretty early on in comedy, and his sister lived in New York, but he couldn't stay with her. He moved to New York City. He slept on the train.
Oh God!
He didn't have a home. He didn't have any money or anything. So he moved to New York City. He would go do his spots at night, and then we'd get on the train. He would sleep on the train. Then he'd get off the train in the morning or whatever and go about his business. And then he would go do his spots and get back on the train. And he did that for weeks and weeks when he was in New York City, which is something that I never realized until talking to him. And I don't think he talks about it much, publicly. But
I want to know more about the Bill Cosby thing. How that changed his life. Did he get more gigs out of that?
Out of the
whole.
I mean, he's such a talented guy. I would like to think that he was already he knew too. I mean, I remember you signed your poster at the end of the week, and the headliners signed their poster.
Yeah,
and I remember he signed his poster like, "Thanks for the chicken wings. I won't be back next time. I'll be in the theater." And I remember thinking to myself, man, that's a lot of confidence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be like, but he knew. You know what I mean? Michael Che was that way too. I remember, I did his first headlining weekend ever there, and I was hosting for him. And I remember talking to him, and I remember just being like, he knows how funny he is, and he knows that whatever he does is going to be, huge.
Gold.
Yep.
It is 6:26. We'll have more with Marty Caproni coming up a little bit later on this hour. It's Bax and Nagle Light this week. It's 6:26 at Rock 102.
Bax and Nagle.
Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock. It's 6:40 and Skid Row on Rock 102. It's Bax and Nagle show, light with Marty Caproni this week. We're not really doing a full morning show, but we're here shooting the shizzle.
Trying to shoot the breeze.
Yeah.
Skid Row. You should have thrown a bottle at me just for old time's sake.
Skid Row.
You don't remember? That's a Springfield reference that goes way deep.
No, please indulge us with your Springfield history.
Back in like 19, it had to be probably like 1989 maybe.
Yeah.
Skid Row came to at the height of their fame. They came to the Springfield Civic Center, as it was known at the time, and during their concert, someone threw water at the stage or whatever. Sebastian Bach launched a beer bottle off the stage into the crowd. And it hit a girl that went to Cathedral, high school, and it hit her in the bridge of the nose and broke her nose and cut her nose open and everything. It was national news. It was on MTV News. Remember, I'm Kurt Loder.
Yeah.
Kurt Loder was covering everything the next morning. It was very surreal. And the girl ended up in the hospital. And Sebastian Bach, to his credit, I think he visited her in the hospital and he gave her tickets and something else and smoothed it over. But it's an old callback for the older listeners, the more mature listeners. They will remember.
Speaking of Kurt Loder, he's like almost 80 years old.
That's insane.
Isn't that scary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think he's in like an assisted living, just talking about the old times?
He's 78. He's probably doing news updates for the people in the old folks' home.
Well, Adam Curry. You remember Adam Curry? He was the guy with the big feathered hair.
Yeah.
He was the father of modern day podcasting.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that. Adam Curry was the first person to start internet radio and podcasting.
Wow. He was a pretty popular guy, too. He was the MTV News guy.
He was. And he's made quite a career for himself since.
I wonder how old he is, too. I'm trying to look.
He's up there.
Yeah.
If you go back to all the old MTV VJs, remember back then, you were a DJ, you were a disc jockey. And then if you were on MTV, you were a video jockey.
Oh, VJ.
And then remember Martha? There was Martha.
Martha and Nina Blackwood and all those folks.
And then if you want to go way back, do you remember there's a guy named Jesse? Remember they had Jesse?
Oh, yeah.
His kind of weird guy talk like this. Well, Jesse was from Western Mass, Northern Connecticut. He's like from Southwick area.
No kidding.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't realize that either.
That's weird. You don't know where people come from. How many famous people are
from Western Mass?
Yeah.
Remember we had that conversation? I was like, who knows if famous people in Western Mass send us in stuff? I don't know if you were here. I think it might have been Bax. You were on vacation. And we got a few really cool emails. One of them, Benedict Cumberbatch or whatever.
He's from here?
He lives in Southampton.
No, he doesn't. Really?
I swear to God. Probably listens to the show.
Benedict Cumberbatch lives in Southampton?
Yeah, well, you know the guy I'm talking. He's a really good actor. I can't remember his name. I'm bad with all that Hollywood stuff.
Oh, you're bad about remembering his character names?
No, I'm just bad about remembering like Hollywood people and Hollywood names.
That's his name, though.
People.
It's not like you didn't remember that.
Is it Cumberbatch or Cumberbunch?
Cumberbach. I don't know. Cumberbunch. Cumberbun.
The Cumberbunch.
Yeah,
Marky Mark and Cumberbunch?
Yeah, Yeah, remember they used to wear the tuxedos with the thing around their waist? Yeah. Marky Mark and the Cumberbuns. I believe that was what it was called.
Yeah, no, he lives in Southampton.
Get out of here.
I swear to God.
No, he doesn't.
He lives close to you.
How come I've never seen him?
He lives close to you in Huntington.
Really? I've never. Well, he wouldn't come to Huntington. But
Is there famous people in Huntington? There probably is.
We had one of the Neville brothers lived there for a while until he passed away probably about 6 or 7 years ago.
One of the Neville brothers.
I can't remember which one he was. He was the saxophone player.
Oh, okay. See,
he
wasn't the guy who talked like this.
No, but he was a super nice guy, and he did a lot of community concerts for the high school, like to raise money for the high school bands and all that stuff. He used to come out, and he was a pretty decent dude. And then he passed away. I don't know, probably like 10 years ago.
Dude, you think about it. If you make enough money in your early entertainment career and you don't want to be bothered, and Hollywood isn't your thing, Western Mass is a nice little place to lay down some roots.
Southampton's the way to go.
No, it really is. You think about it. You're in Southampton, what are you, 40 minutes from Bradley?
Yeah,
You
you're
get
not that
an
far.
international
Yeah.
airport right there. You're an hour and change from Boston and a
Benedict
couple hours from New York.
I'm going to have to keep my eyes peeled for Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, well, tell him to call in. Have him come into the studio.
I don't think he listens to this show.
Probably you think, but you never know.
He doesn't listen
Maybe
to
he's
this
a
show.
classic, or maybe he's right now he's listening in a Skinner shirt.
Wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't it be funny if his favorite bit was the Kim Kardashian thing?
He just comes in. He comes in. He's starstruck. I'm a big fan, Steve.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. I don't know what voice that is.
I don't know. It sounds like
I was trying to do like an English voice.
Sounds like the baby from Family Guy, Stewie. I'm a huge
fan. I'm a huge fan. Yeah. What's that thing he says at the end of The View from the Couch? I can never figure it out. Yeah. I guess we'll do some news. I got some stuff here. The fog is really messing things up this morning, especially at the airport. There's a bunch of flights canceled. So if you're traveling during the busiest travel week of the year, good luck to you. That should clear up maybe later on today. And then you have all the delays from the flights from last night on top of this morning's delays.
Yeah. So what do we got for news? Do we? You know what we should do? We should at this point we should just tell people to shoot us messages on social media about what they want us to talk about.
No, we could do open topics.
Yeah.
Without doing the phone lines.
Yeah.
2 men were arrested after police found a loaded ghost gun in their car in Springfield over the weekend. On Saturday night, Springfield police officers pulled over a car driving with a headlight out on Wilbraham Road. When officers approached the car, they could smell marijuana and see smoke. 21-year-old Matthew Callender of Springfield was behind the wheel with two 17-year-old passengers. During a search of the vehicle, officers found a loaded ghost gun, marijuana, cash, and drug packaging materials. Officers determined Callender was under the influence and took him into custody. One of the 17-year-old passengers was also taken into custody on firearms charges. You imagine getting a call from the police for your kid for that one?
Oh, man.
Mr. Caproni, your son was involved in a traffic stop earlier tonight. So what, are you just going to give him a citation or something? No, he's being charged with a felony.
I mean, that's a big felony, too.
It is a big felony for a ghost gun.
You just love saying it.
And you would have gotten away with it, too, if it wasn't for this meddling cop. Yeah. Springfield and Holyoke police teamed up Friday to take a large-capacity gun off the street, according to the Springfield police. They've been investigating 18-year-old Josetto Johnson of Holyoke for months for illegal possession of firearms. On Friday, they executed a search warrant on his Linden Street home in Holyoke, where they seized a gun which was loaded and additional ammunition. He was arrested in his home and now faces charges of possessing a firearm without an FID card, possession of a large-capacity firearm, and improper storage of a large-capacity firearm. So he going to jail.
Yeah, he probably not going to see the good side of that for a while.
Got some closed businesses in the area.
Like closed permanently?
An iconic retail store in your hometown of Chicopee.
No.
Will close its doors at the end of December. The closure of the Herbarium marks the end of an era for the residents of Chicopee and surrounding areas. For more than 45 years, the Herbarium has been a staple in the community.
They're great.
Providing customers with herbal and nutritional supplements.
Yeah.
However, it's all coming to an end as Kathleen Duffy, the founder of Herbarium, announced on Facebook, "It is with great regret and sadness that we must announce that we will closing its doors on December 31st. She explained that in a post that the closure is the result of economic forces, changes in shopping patterns, and supply issues. That is probably a hard business to run.
They were great, though, those people. If you had a pet, like my dog was, my old dog, Casey, the last year of her life, I was doing everything to keep her going and going well. And the herbarium really helped out with a lot of that. They had tinctures and stuff like that. I think a CBD tincture and some other stuff from them.
Well, unfortunately, they're not open. They're not going to be open anymore. So,
well, that's a bummer.
Go get your last minute supplements before they close their doors this Sunday.
Oh, see if they closed before Thursday. They could have came to the comedy show Thursday night, and had a laugh.
Well, you could have maybe had a fundraiser for them to raise the money
if they had asked.
It's probably hard to run a business like that, though, competing with GNC and Amazon, and you can get supplements by just going online versus actually going into a store and people don't realize, like, it's better to go to talk to somebody, especially somebody who's been in business for 45 years, who knows a thing or two about nutritional supplements. Unfortunately, TikTok videos are the ones that are influencing these people to buy stuff online instead of, going to a brick and mortar store.
That's one of those things where, what do they call it? The Dunning-Kruger effect, where people just Google and then they think they're an expert on the issue.
Yeah.
That's where you go talk to somebody like that. They'll tell, you know what I mean? They'll tell you how it really is. You know?
Wait a minute. I'm not an expert when I Google things?
No, you're not.
Really?
I hate to say it to you. I don't want to break it to you.
I thought I wrote that whole thesis on world peace.
Oh, believe me, you know what's great is people who Google stuff about comedy, they know everything. Or new comedians who they just listen to podcasts for, before they do it.
Sometimes I go and I look at some of these like how-to comedy books.
It's terrible.
And I'm like, it's not even like good information you're giving people.
Well, I'll tell you why. The people that are writing those books mostly are really failed comedians.
Well,
or they don't even do comedy. They just they're fans of it, super fans.
Well, those who can't teach, or those who can't do teach.
Yeah.
Those who can't teach Jim. Is
that what
right? Somebody pointed that out because I know a phys ed teacher, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about that type of thing, and then somebody sent me a meme that said, my gym teacher said. He's still got the same degree as your science teacher and still makes just as much money as he does. So who's the dumb one?
Yeah, well, it's a solid point. Although nowadays schools need a lot more science teachers than they do phys ed teachers. There's a lot more job openings.
Nobody wants to move anymore.
Well, can you imagine? So in gym class in high school, I had two gym teachers. I had Coach Wise.
Yeah.
Who was the coach of the football program, who was an athletic specimen because he was a professional athlete, and he would beat on kids. Like you got a workout when you went to gym class with Coach Wise. And then I had Coach Moget, whose brother was also the gym coach at Chicopee. And Coach Moget was he was a good dude, but he was, they used to make the fat kids climb the rope.
Yeah.
And they would kind of shame the fat kids into losing weight. That was like the way it was like a tough love thing that they used to do, back in the day.
Right.
Can you imagine though, like if you were still teaching gym throughout this entire stretch of the last 30 years, it's got to be a gym teacher's nightmare. Now there's not one fat kid in class that you're trying to like motivate to lose weight. Now the entire class is fat and you have one kid in shape.
Well, that's
and you're like, I want to do all this stuff. And you're like, all right, everybody, get on your Reebok step.
Yeah, I was always the fat kid.
Were you?
Yeah, with the husky jeans and the
Were you the fat? Did your gym teachers pick on you or no?
Yeah. Well, they would slyly pick on you by pushing you. All right, your skins today.
Oh,
Take your shirt off and show everybody your fat boobs, you little fat kid. That's kind of. I mean,
sounds like you let that go.
Or they do that. But then they did, like, even when they did shirts and skins, they'd make you everybody take their shirt off and then put on that little like net, that net jersey thing. Yeah. So then it looked like I was wearing some lingerie in the middle of 6th grade.
You look like Madonna.
My boobs hanging. Yeah. Madonna now. Yeah. That's what I had already predicted the future back then. They're like, oh, look at the little fat kid's boobies sticking out of the side. Ooh, look at that side boob action.
Everyone come see Stevie. Come on, Vogue. Come on, Vogue, Nagle. Let's Vogue.
Ooh, look, he's wearing his Caldor sweatpants too. It's that was pretty damaging, actually. As a child.
I could see. I sensed the trauma in your voice when you started talking about it.
Yeah, I didn't have I wasn't a very like outgoing kid. Like I was very I don't know, I was made fun of my entire life for being overweight.
Man, now you're making me feel bad.
No, listen.
Well,
man,
now you're skinny and I'm fat, so look at this.
Yeah, but you know what? You grow up and you realize that everybody's just kind of a big jerk, and we all make fun of other people in our own ways.
Everyone's damaged. Everyone has trauma.
Everybody has trauma, but then you have to, like, I quietly judge other people. I just quietly
in the store.
Well, because I know you're going to do yourself in. If you're like one of these people that is just out there and like really kind of like trying to screw the pooch to everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me because I know that, Taylor Swift said it best. The trash eventually takes itself out. And it's true.
Did Tay-Tay say that?
Yeah, Tay-Tay said that because she was talking about the whole Kim Kardashian Kanye West controversy during that time of the year person.
She nailed that one.
She did, and she felt Kim Kardashian was throwing her under the bus. She edited the phone call that she made to Kanye.
Oh, really?
So it made it sound like she was actually praising him when she wasn't. And so then she had gone into hiding for a year, the Taylor Swift, and because she couldn't handle the negative press that she was getting because Kim Kardashian was so influential.
That rubbed me the wrong way when that happened because I feel like anyone who has a daughter and you see Taylor Swift, she just seems like this nice kid, right?
Yeah.
And here she is on the stage getting this big award, the pinnacle of her career at that moment.
And then this douche nozzle comes over and starts
doing all his crazy.
I'm going to let you finish, but Beyonce is really the winner here.
Yeah. I mean, and believe me, I believe Kanye is genius in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. He really is. I don't know if you knew this, but like the MoCA up in Museum of Contemporary Art up in North Adams?
Yeah.
He used to fly people up there in his private jet to show them exhibits, like when an exhibit caught his fancy. Like he really does have an eye for art and a mind for art.
I'm sure he does.
And he really does. I do think he has a lot of genius traits, but I also think there's a fine line between genius and madness. I think sometimes that dude's definitely on the other side of the madness line.
Listen, he's actually a pretty good artist, and if you listen to some of his music, it's very talented stuff. It's the rhetoric that you're getting from him and his, he started going on this anti-Semitic stuff, and it's just like, dude, I don't know what you're doing.
Do you? Well, you know what he's doing is he's trying to do what comedians do. You try to look at a different perspective than everyone else, than what the group thought is, and you try to find a different perspective and look at things from that perspective. But sometimes the group is thinking a certain way because they're right, and they don't need you and your stupid perspective, But then the narcissistic side of him believes that everyone always needs his perspective, and I think that was.
I saw a video of him couple of days before Christmas.
Yeah.
And the latest, somebody was recording him while he's making this speech. And it's just like, oh man, he's become the crazy uncle at your Christmas dinner table. He's just ranting
when
off
he
all
talks,
this crap.
Everyone's like, oh god.
Kanye, ixnay on the,
I do think the guy's generally speaking, I think he's a pretty brilliant guy.
Yeah.
It
is 6:58. We got more with Marty Caproni coming up after 7 o'clock. It's Bax and Nagle Light this week on Rock 102. It's 6:58.
More micro.
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock at 7:12 and Queen on Rock 102. It's Bax and Nagle show. Bax is out until January 2nd, so it's Bax and Nagle Light with Marty Caproni. And fog is out there this morning, pretty dense fog, and they're canceling flights at Logan. Bradley.
At Mini Logan.
Mini Logan. Yeah, Logan Light. Logan Light.
You just love saying light because it tweaks me because I'm like, it's not light. We're really doing the show.
No, we're not really doing the show. We're just talking about a bunch of stuff, which is pretty much what we do every day. We just don't have any benchmarks.
Yeah.
There's no view from the couch. There's no Hollywood trash. There's none of that stuff. But we started getting into this conversation last hour about Benjamin Bratt.
Yes.
And because we were wondering.
Well, no, I said Benedict Cumberbatch or Bunch or whatever.
Right.
That's what somebody told me. Somebody told me he lived in Southampton, which we don't know. Someone confirm or deny that to me. So please, someone, if they're listening, confirm or deny that. But then someone messaged you and said, no, Marty's an idiot. It's not Benedict. It's Benjamin Bratt.
Benjamin Bratt.
Okay.
And then, so a bunch of people were writing in. They're telling us that, he's there's this interview where he did with, I don't even know what magazine that is, Esquire magazine, where he talks about how his wife's family's from here, and they have a house here.
Right.
It doesn't seemingly like he currently lives here now, but apparently there's a house that he owns in.
It said his wife's family lives here, and then I pulled up his wife, and I mean, not only is Benjamin Bratt a really good-looking dude, obviously, but his wife is stunning.
Yeah. And
then we had a whole separate conversation about that.
Well,
and
but then we were talking about I haven't seen him around.
Well, yeah,
somebody has seen him a couple of plays golfing out in Southampton at the Southampton Country Club.
Really? Is that that's what the Benjamin Bratt watches?
Benjamin Bratt goes out and plays golf at the Southampton Country Club, and I bet you he's been in 7Bs a time or two.
You know what? I bet you he has.
Yeah.
If you live in Southampton, that's a great little restaurant to go to.
Yeah, he probably went in there, got a nice big burger cooked up by Chef Jeff in the kitchen.
I was just going to say, I've been there. I've had the burger. Actually, what I remembered about going there was the bartender was hilarious. Yeah. I went in there and the banter back and forth, this is years ago, and I was like, God, man, I hate when, a bartender is funnier than I am and faster and wittier, and I'm like, I'm supposed to be a professional at this. And this woman's eating my lunch.
You're intimidated by the bar.
Yeah,
staff.
Bartenders and servers are some of the funniest people alive. They really, you have to be to deal with what they deal with. You know?
You think? I think weren't we talking about this last week about doing jobs like that and how?
Yeah.
All these people that I worked when I was waiting tables at Pizzeria Uno's, they're all successful and they're doing things. But when you're a kid, you're 21 years old, you don't really think that far in the future. You're just thinking this is just this job I need to do to get to the next step. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I can tell you this. This has been an interesting morning for anyone who's been listening along. We are also talking about VJs and stuff like that. This just in, one of those VJ's names that you said also a Springfield native.
Who?
Nina Blackwood.
She was from Springfield?
She was from Springfield.
So we had a
Kurt Russell.
We had a guy, Kurt Russell I knew about. Yeah. And then the guy who played Taggart on Beverly Hills Cop, he's from Enfield.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There's a new Beverly Hills Cop coming out.
Is he still alive? I
don't know
if he's still alive.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
We can't tell him to call in. We can tell Benjamin Bratt to call in, though.
Yeah, I don't think Benjamin really cares about
Or his wife, Talisa. She seems lovely. Matthew Perry.
I want to talk to Benjamin Bratt because I want to be like, Miss Congeniality was the worst movie I have ever seen.
You didn't like it?
I don't like Sandra Bullock.
You don't like Sandra Bullock?
God, no. There's something about Sandra Bullock that just rubs me the wrong way.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah.
I think she's so funny and so great.
Yeah, no.
Marissa Tomei, Sandra Bullock. No.
Marissa Tomei. Now there's something I can wrap my eyes around.
Is that what you're trying to wrap your eyes around?
Sandra Bullock? Oh, God. Horrible actress.
Really?
Horrible. Yeah.
God, really?
Yeah, sometimes you look at people and go, how did you ever make it in this
Oh,
business?
my God, you are terrible.
People look at me and say that all the time.
Well, yeah, they do.
They're like,
100%.
You have nothing to offer. Yeah. How did you ever make it in this business?
I mean, at least you get that. People look at me and go, he's never going to make it in this business. So
if Benjamin Bratt's out there, 293-1021, we can get on the celebrity hotline.
I got a buddy.
I got a buddy who's on the celebrity hotline here.
Yeah, see, there's a lot of Western Mass names. Matthew Perry was born in Williamstown. He will not be on the phone this morning, but
no, he won't.
He was born in Williamstown.
David Starzyk, he's from Western Mass too.
That's another name that was. Yeah. John Shea.
Who's that?
He's an award-winning actor. He was in Missing, Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. His dad, John Victor Shea, was the former Springfield superintendent of schools.
Really?
Yep. There you go.
Let's see. Steve Carell is from Concord. That's out near Boston.
That's out near Boston. Doesn't count.
Why are they putting this in the same category? Oh, because it's just Massachusetts.
Yep. Julie McNiven. Mad Men, Supernatural, Stargate.
Elizabeth Banks is from Pittsfield.
She's a pretty lady. Yeah. A talented actress. She's a pretty...
You know who else lives out there?
Who?
Carol... Oh, God, now I can't remember her name.
Harrison Ford has a place out in the Berkshires,
too. Not Carol Kane. Karen Allen. You remember her? She was in Raiders of the Lost Ark. She was in Scrooge.
Sure.
She was, she has a store out there, a clothing store out in Great Barrington.
How about my buddy Josh Wolf? Very, very funny comedian, pretty well known. I think he's probably acted in some stuff. Josh is Amherst high school graduate.
Well, there you go. We got
Ebon Moss Bachrock.
Yeah.
Amherst, Mass. Uma Thurman, Amherst, Mass. Megan Duffy, Enfield, Connecticut.
Look at that. Who's that? Where's she from?
She's from Enfield. She's a pretty girl, too. Very, very pretty girl. John Ashton, that's the one that you were talking about from Beverly Hills Cops, right?
Yeah, that's him.
Springfield-born actor. He was in Gone Baby Gone, too. He's still alive. Kim Allen, Law and Order, Criminal Intent. Very, very pretty girl. Born in Springfield.
How come we have all these famous people living around here and we never get any of them on the show?
None. No one. You think Bridget Monahan would want to come in the studio, but no. Too good for us just because you have a son with the greatest football player in the history of the universe.
She don't want to talk about that. She wants to talk about her movie career.
Yeah, well, she has a great career too.
Yeah.
She could stop in,
Just pop in. We're at 45 Fisher Avenue.
Yeah,
if you're a famous celebrity, 45 Fisher Avenue in East Longmeadow, just pop right in.
Yeah, pop in.
We'll shoot the breeze.
Or, if you really want, Thursday nights at Loft Comedy Club, 7 p.m. doors, 8 o'clock show.
There you go. Look at you sliding it right in there.
$20 if you buy in advance on Venmo, or $25 at the door. This week we have a great lineup. You should come by this week. This week's going to be fun. I got my buddy Noah coming. He's internet famous because he does impressions, and he does one of the funniest things. He puts the baby filter on, and he does Donald Trump as a baby. So
does he do this on stage then?
He does impressions on stage and stuff.
Have a camera, like a screen that he puts I would do that.
Yeah. Oh, look at someone's calling in. It's probably Benjamin Bratt.
I don't think it's Benjamin Bratt.
Do you want to see?
We can find out.
Let's find. Okay.
Good morning, Rock 102. Who's this?
Good. How are you? This is Dick. I'm on the Mass Pike, and I'm listening to your show this morning.
Yeah.
And the lady that played the mother on that 70s show has a house in Lee.
Oh, you know what? I actually met her.
Come on.
At the Blue Note Cafe out in Chester.
No, you did not.
Sure,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I'll tell I'm going to get you off the phone because I'm done talking with you.
Thanks, Dick.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
Cool, man. Thanks.
Years ago, my buddy and I go up to. We used to do the bar tours out like towards Palmer and everything, with the Lakeside and Thorndike and all that stuff.
Turtle Tavern, the Turtle Pond Tavern, or whatever.
No, that was it was way before that.
Okay.
But that's where I drank underage at the Thorndike Lounge out there.
Okay.
Anyway, but fast forward to about 2009 or so.
Yeah.
I said, hey, you know what? Now that I live up in the hills, we should go up and do the bars up there. So we hit that Uncle Larry's Tavern,
of course.
and then which is now called Papa Bob's.
Is it Papa Bob's?
Yeah,
you can't even do a show there anymore?
It's the same place. It's just a different name to it.
Let's go do a show at Papa Bob's.
We should do a show at Papa Bob's. I would do that.
Tell Papa Bob to get on the horn. Let's make it happen.
All right, let's call Papa Bob and see what we can do. Right? So we hit that first, and then we hit the Blue Note Cafe in Chester, which is this tiny little. It's probably no bigger than it's probably double the size of the studio here.
Yeah.
And we go in there. It's busy. It's a Saturday night. It's during the summer. And all of a sudden, we both spot her sitting at the bar.
And you recognize her?
We don't know her name. Mary Jo something her name is or something like that. What?
Well, I'm trying to think of who she is as an actress, what her name is. I'm going to look her up.
Yeah, well, she was in Friends. She's been in a ton of stuff.
Okay.
God, what's her name? Mom from the 70s.
Mary Jo Catlett? Is that her name?
Mary Jo
Deschanel?
No. Mary Jo Catlett. It's not Catlett. What is it?
No, I don't know.
That 70s show cast. What's her name? This is so stupid that we're doing this on the air.
Well, let's go back to the point.
Deborah Jo.
Okay.
Deborah Jo Rupp is her name.
Okay.
All right. So we go in this bar, and it's like packed in there. And we see her sitting at the bar, and we look at each other going, is that really her? Like, Because a part of you was like, what the hell are you doing in this part of town?
Sure.
Or in this area.
Right.
So then I went outside to smoke, and I come back inside, and my buddy is like, he's talking with her, and he's like, come on over. So I come over, and he's like, it's really her. And I go, I'm sorry, what are you doing here? And she goes, there was the Chester Theater. They do a lot of these
summer theater
stuff.
Of course, the Berkshires.
And there's every once in a while you get these famous actors who come up and do stage work, because that's probably what they originally started at.
Right.
I think she started as like a theater actor. And she was just coming up here to do a side project at the Chester Community Theater, and was having a few pops after the show was over.
And was she thrilled to talk to you guys? Was she?
She was very nice. She was like super nice, but she was like, "Please don't make a big deal that I'm here." Like, you got to remember, people see you on TV, and all you want to do is have a drink in a bar and just be left alone.
Right.
Kind of, who she was talking with some friends of hers or whatever she was with. But it was just like, you don't want to make a big deal out of it. Anything. But that was the most famous person I've ever seen up in the hill towns.
Up in the hills?
Yeah. Other than that guy, one of the, what did I call him? The Lionel Richie brothers? What's his name? Neville brothers.
The Neville brothers guy? I guess the most famous person in the hill towns for me was probably Aaron. When he had his compound up there and went up to the barbecues, like him and Jeff Keith from Tesla and that whole squad, my buddy Otan Vargas. So it was a whole bunch of musicians and stuff.
Yeah, I know. I'm paying the property taxes from the result of that.
You keep saying that.
That's true.
Let me tell you something. Aaron's former wife, Vanessa, we went to high school together. Very lovely person, and did a ton for up there. So I don't want to hear anything negative.
I'm not saying anything negative. Yeah. I'm just saying how most of the people up there feel.
I'm going to be real defensive about your Huntington politics.
You can be defensive all you want, but really, we're looking for Benjamin Bratt.
That's what we want.
Yeah,
he should be on the phone with us, but he's not going to call. What does he need us for?
Yeah, you know what? I've been to the Tractor Supply many times. I've never seen Benjamin Bratt inside the Tractor Supply up there in Southampton.
Do you get the ducks in your Tractor Supply? Do they sell the ducks or the chickens?
Certain times of the year they sell those.
Yeah, I go in just to visit the ducks or the chickens when they sell them.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't need anything in Tractor Supply.
The ducks and the chickens?
Yeah, I just go in and see the ducks and chickens.
All right, we'll see. Well, that's that. You just want to pet them, don't you?
That's what I do.
Are you allowed to pet them?
Listen,
you have to buy them.
Let me say this. I'm going to put it out to the universe again because I love animals, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put it out to the universe again. If someone works at Lupa Zoo or Forest Park Zoo, I want a backstage thing where I get to play with the animals and pet the animals. I'll do it to social media. We can put it up on Rock 102. I keep asking, and it's not happening.
Maybe because nobody wants you around their animals.
It's true.
That could be, too.
Probably that one incident with the sheep in college. But,
Listen, man, I used to go to Mingles all the time. That was like a petting zoo. If we only had a place like that open again, we could feed the animals. They eat peanuts.
There's still a couple of strains of certain viruses that are going around. The Mingle strain.
You feed them peanuts right out of your hand with a tea.
Oh, God.
It's 7:27 with Bax and Nagle and Marty Caproni on Rock 102. Beat the clock at Leah. Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock. It's 7:43 and Green Day on Rock 102. It's Bax and Nagle Light with Bax on vacation this week, and he'll be back on Tuesday. Marty Caproni is here filling in.
Happy to be here as always, Steve.
Are you happy to be here? We've narrowed it down that Benjamin Bratt does in fact shop at the Big Y over in Southampton, so you could see him there. He's probably at I said I'd never seen him at Tractor Supply before.
Yeah. Tell him to call in. We should start a new segment called Brat Watch.
Yeah, who can? You know what? And somebody reminded me that he was at the Sheriff Cochee picnic last year.
Was he?
Yeah, because apparently he's got some family members in law enforcement, and he went to that thing.
Well, maybe Nick should call us and tell us
well,
his extent of his knowledge of Benjamin Bratt.
He was an FBI agent in Miss Congeniality. Maybe he's just holding on to that badge and flashing it around. Hey, look at this. I got this from a movie set.
Nick has the ability to make people honorary deputies. I was going to ask him the last time we saw him. It'd be nice to become an honorary deputy.
Yeah, but you have to have character. You don't.
Yeah,
you don't
that's where it
have
all
any of
falls
that.
apart
Neither
for
of us do. We don't. We weren't gonna.
He ain't
We're
giving us a badge.
No, that's like one of those things that comes to bite you in the political ass years down the road.
Yeah.
Hey, you remember you deputized these two idiots? Well, guess what they just did? Yeah.
After saying such and such joke on stage,
Yeah.
both Marty and Steve flashed their badges.
Yeah, we were also canceled, and now the sheriff's department is canceled in result of that.
You know, my buddy, good friend of myself and you, Dario Mercadante, he's an honorary sheriff.
I can see that happening.
Yeah, he's good. He's good at it.
What does that even mean?
You're like, if something really hit the fan, they can deputize you and bring you in.
I know former mayor of Westfield, Dan Knappich, gave me a day in Westfield for saving the Cumberland Farms years ago.
Did you have a Steve Nagle day?
Yeah, it's November 6th of 2014. Or 2014 or 2015. I can't remember the day. It pops up every year.
Hey, whoever the new mayor is, should get on the stick there and get you on the float in
Mike
the parade.
McCabe.
Yeah, he should get you on the float in the parade.
I don't know. He's too hollering about the traffic over there in Westfield.
Well, who isn't? Who
I
isn't?
told you he's like General Patton.
Is it with the traffic? I
Any
love it.
one of you sons of bitches want to drive trucks through my town, you're gonna get it. He's just got that like stoic general appearance to him.
It's leadership quality, baby. I love it.
He's a nice enough guy, but it's just funny the way he addresses things. I'm getting angry.
You know what's funny? I think of the mayors in all the towns around us, and most of the ones that I know I love Dom Dom. How can you not love that guy?
Right.
Hey, you can't not love him. And then John View, Chicopee, I like John a lot, and Will in West Springfield.
Yeah,
You
it's
ever
like
know?
the mayor's
Yeah.
super team.
Yeah, we do. We have pretty good leadership here in Western Mass. No, you don't think so?
We have this. It's like any other market. Like this is the small market.
This is it. This is
This is the best I can do.
yeah.
Like this is the best I'll ever do. You know what I mean? Like you're never. But a lot of a lot of the TV anchors, they come in and they do their gigs here, and then they move on to they're all of a sudden in New Haven or Virginia or bigger markets.
Well,
Same thing with the politicians. There's only a very select few that make it onto the national stage. Richie Neal would be a perfect example of that.
Well, when I ever see Richie, I always think about the day that Richie's like, I've had enough. I'm going to retire, right? And I'm like, who's going to come out of the woodwork to run? And so when I look at politicians, I always look at their hair.
Who's got the best hair?
Yeah, and it's a pretty tight hair race if someone's going to come out and run someday. Like you got Dom Dom. He's got that beautiful hair that looks like the High Pro Glow. It's always like shiny and perfect. You got Will in West Springfield. He's got good hair. But who's got some of the best hair out there is Gallooni.
Oh, yeah. That could be
That guy's got good hair.
I told you, he's the Harvey Dent of Western Massachusetts.
But can he be trusted?
I don't think so.
I like him. He's a good dude.
I don't even know what we're doing here this morning.
We're just talking. This is actually when people are like, "What happens on the commercial break when you guys aren't on air?" This is pretty much what happens.
This is it. This is what we're doing.
Sometimes
here.
it's a little more X-rated.
I was trying to look up some news, but then I lost interest because we got talking about Benjamin Bratt. And I was like, I don't know.
That's our theme for
the.
Listen, I'm going to put it out there right now. All right, Steve.
Yeah.
This Thursday, Benjamin Bratt, if you show up at Loft Comedy Club, 92 View Street in Chicopee, okay?
It's the day I can't go, and that'll be the day he shows up.
I want him to show up.
Yeah.
If you show up, free admission, you get the dinner and the comedy show for nothing. For you and your whole crew, if you show up, Benjamin Bratt. 7 p.m. doors, 8 o'clock showtime. It's fine. And Friday, they got dueling pianos, and you know what? Benjamin Bratt, if you show up there downstairs at View Street, you can get it for free. So can everyone else. There's no cover charge.
He pretended to play an instrument in the movie before. Maybe he can just sit behind the piano while the other guy is playing and make it look like he's doing it.
I bet you he plays an instrument.
Benjamin Bratt can do whatever he wants to do.
He can't. Listen, you see that guy, you see his wife, they're blessed with good genetics. They can do whatever they want.
He doesn't have to pay the $20 to get in.
No.
You would let him in as a guest.
That's what I said.
Yeah, and 2-drink minimum, though. He's got to at least
No,
buy 2
there's
drinks.
no
Come
drink.
on.
There's no drink minimum, although drinking is highly encouraged.
Highly encouraged, and a guy like Benjamin Bratt can afford a couple of drinks from the Loft.
You think so? You think he's got that kind of
I think
money?
he's got maybe a little bit
You
of
think
money
he's
there.
got better than Loft Thursday show money?
He could very well. Very well.
I think he does.
Yeah.
I looked up his net worth. It's pretty up there.
Hey, did you see the Apple place is for sale?
I seen this.
The house, orchard, bakery, ice cream stand, and all. But have no fear. Both the current owners and the real estate agent are confident an owner can be found who will keep it working as a farm. It's set up to run, co-owner Neil Normandin said on Tuesday. Our aim right now is to find someone who will run it as a farm. We'd even help them with that if that's what they need. The farm, including 13 acres at 540 Summers Road, has an asking price of $1.3 million. The listing went up line only Tuesday morning. Normandin and his wife, Cynthia Belrose, after meeting her as a customer at the Apple place. The Belrose grew up on the property. Her father once grew apples at what's now the Five-Town Plaza at Allen and Cooley Streets. Can you imagine? This is the thing. Before they built all this stuff, there was like farmland and whatnot. Yeah.
I had a meltdown on stage not too long ago. I was in Connecticut doing a show, and in the crowd was a guy with his whole family, and I said, what do you do? And he was an Italian guy, and he's like, I'm a farmer. And I was like, and no one clapped. And I got so mad. I was like, what a noble profession. This guy, and then I started going around the table. What do you do? What do you do to these other? One kid's like, I work at Raytheon. I'm in customer service. I'm like, none of you guys have a job that's good for humanity. Farmers are one of the most noble jobs out there, right?
Yeah.
We all need them. They're feeding people. They're taking care of people.
Unless you're harvesting organs, then that might not be the best
that's
farmer.
a different story.
Yeah.
That's a different story.
I got a kidney. from a.
We've grown a fresh kidney.
Right.
Yeah, no, but it's such a noble occupation. I hope somebody with a dream, maybe some fast-paced New York City actor, like a friend of Benjamin Bratt's, hears that Western Mass is a nice place to stay and goes out to East Long Meadow and buys it. You know who else could buy it? Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
Remember the rumors? The Bon Jovi at East Long Meadow?
That he was living here?
Yeah. Maybe.
Believe me, we drove around trying to look for his house years ago.
And you didn't find it?
This woman I was dating and her sister were like, let's go find Bon Jovi. Who we drove through all these East Long Meadow things because supposedly he was seen at Ramito's having coffee when Ramito's was open.
I loved Ramito's. That place is awesome.
I know. I don't know why that went out of business. That was a good place.
It wasn't because they didn't have amazing food, because they did.
My favorite sandwich was the Sweep the Floor Joe, and it was like it was a roast beef with a bunch of like toppings on it that they swept off the floor, apparently.
Sounds delicious.
But it was that was a good place. I wish it was still in business.
Used to go. I went to lunch there with old general manager of Rock 102, Gary Zanobi.
You used to go to Ramito's?
I met him at Ramito's once because I talked about coming to Rock 102 back in my...
Because that's your people's.
Back in my... Hey, how you doing? How's it going? Good to see you. Good to see you.
He was always good for that. He was always good for saying that, he was connected somehow.
Two paisans having a little lunch.
But I had to remind him that people who are connected don't tell anybody they're
connected. Yeah.
I mean, you don't know. Like, those when you everybody watches movies and thinks this is how things work.
Right.
In the real world, nobody really knows that you're in that kind of business, or if they do, they don't talk about it.
Right. And that kind of business is it's not the strongest industry right now.
Well, every industry takes a hit every once in a while.
Sure it does.
Thing. Let's see. I'm looking for stuff. Oh yeah, this Tesla that went on. A Tesla crashed and burst into flames in Alabama on Christmas night, requiring more than 36,000 gallons of water to put out the fire. This was a first for Antauga County. The Pine Level Fire Department posted on Facebook. Electric vehicle fires are unusual and present unique challenges and dangers to firefighters. These vehicles can reignite hours or days after they are first extinguished. Firefighters across the country, according to the Wall Street Journal, have been learning to contend with the unique challenges presented by electric vehicle fires. For instance, firefighters in Franklin, Tennessee, recently reported using 45,000 gallons of water over several hours while battling a burning Nissan Leaf.
You needed 50,000 gallons or whatever it was to put out a Nissan Leaf?
Yeah. Authorities said a Tesla burns at temperatures exceeding 2,500 degrees Celsius. which is like what Fahrenheit? I don't
Oh,
even know.
that's
a lot.
like
Fahrenheit.
hot as the sun.
I like how we're like American and we don't know the metric system.
No,
I
of
don't
course
know.
not.
Celsius.
I
Who's
refuse
a
to learn.
Celsius guy?
I refuse to learn because I'm a patriot.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't want your stupid metric system coming into our world.
36,000 gallons, though, buddy, is that like a swimming pool, like a big above ground swimming pool? I think is about 5,000 to 7,000 gallons.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You could have just dropped the car right into a pool.
Yep.
At that point.
The smoke from burning electric cars produces hydrogen fluoride and hydrogen chloride gases, both of which are toxic to breathe.
Great.
And requires firefighters to wear breathing apparatus. This is the thing that I always say about, we got to push towards electric vehicles because it's going to be cleaner for the environment. And here you got this thing going, yeah, by the way, if one of them happens to explode, stay away because it's just releasing all these toxic gases into the air.
Probably get out of your car as fast as you can because it's going to become hotter than the sun.
Yeah, but you know what? You not recycling your Snapple bottle is the reason why we're in this mess that we're in.
The reason why we're in this mess, a lot of it has not to do with even people in this country.
Yeah.
It has to do with certain countries that have nothing but a population explosion.
I had some friends come up to the house a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And my friend is washing like the dishes. Like he's
hand washing?
Hand washing.
Hand drying is where you should ask him.
Yeah, and then he says to me as he's washing out one of these jars, he's like, "Hey, where's your recycling bin?" And I'm like, "This is the hill town. Everything, it's single stream up here. You take your liberal ideas back to East Longmeadow and Wilbraham."
Well, this is true. It's now gotten costly to recycle. Good friend of ours, Christina, she's a recycling person for Springfield. I remember talking about it. Recycling went from where municipalities used to get money from the recyclers to now where they have to pay money, and the paying money that you pay for recycling, I think, is pretty close to the money that you pay for waste removal.
Yeah, recycling is a joke. Have you seen this thing about there's only a finite number of items that can actually be recycled, and there's numbers on the bottom. When you look at the bottom of the plastic bottle, it says number whatever, 7, 6, or 5.
Yeah.
There's only, I don't remember what they are. I can look them up, but there's only a certain number of those that can actually be recycled back in. Some can only be recycled once. Some can't be recycled at all. Some can be recycled over and over again, but it depends on what you're using it for.
Well, out in the hill towns, what you should have done with that glass jar is what everyone else in the hill towns does. Use that to store your hammers or your nails and your bolts and nuts, and you take the nail and you nail the lid into the top of your workbench there, and then you screw the thing in so it hangs above your workbench.
I need those jars to dispose of my motor oil that I bury
great.
in the Westfield
Great.
River.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Good. That's nice.
Oh, they bob up and down in the water as they float.
That's
No, I don't do that. But the whole idea is like, if you really look at the environment and the problems that we have, it's 80% of all carbon emissions come from factories and everything else.
Right.
The other 20% is not because you didn't recycle the Snapple bottle.
Right, but it makes you feel better. It makes you feel warm inside.
Yeah, but that's all it is. But it's making you feel better at a cost.
Yeah.
It's costing all this money. You see, you talk to these trash guys, all that stuff goes into the pile. Nobody's sitting there like pulling out the plastic bottles that go into the dump.
You know what worries me more than the recycling?
What?
Because I was saying it makes you feel better, is all the pharmaceuticals, like the antidepressants, they're finding it in the water now, like Prozac and all that stuff. And I'm like, why does it seem like the world's lost its mind? And then I'm like, man, that's probably why.
Because we're all drinking
Prozac,
drugs.
Lexapro, yeah.
It is 7:59 with Bax and Nagle and Marty Caproni. We'll have more coming up next hour on Rock 102.
At Leah Nissan and
Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock. It's 8:17 and Aerosmith on Rock 102 and Bax and Nagle show. Bax and Nagle light, if you will. Marty hates that. It's Marty Caproni here in the hot seat. We're not doing the regular show. We're not doing joke of the day. We're doing some news stories. It's basically two idiots sitting around shooting the breeze.
Yeah, hopefully the people enjoy it.
I hope so too.
And if they don't, Bax will be back on January 2nd.
Now you got your show tomorrow night up at the Cabot.
I do.
$20
Loft, yeah. Cabot was many moons ago.
Cabot. Sorry, I still
It's,
feel like
8 years ago, Steve.
sometimes I still want to say Bax and O'Brien. Sometimes but it just doesn't happen. But you got your show at Loft tomorrow night. That's $20 dinner and a show.
Yeah,
and buy them ahead of time.
Yeah, to get to 20, all you got to do is you can go on my social media and Venmo the link there. Even if you don't have Venmo, what I tell people is if you message me that you're coming and what the amount of people in your party are, I'll still honor the $20 price at the door, because the reason for doing 20 or then 25 at the door is it gives us a better opportunity for the head count, for the chef and for the food and for everything else. So I don't want poor Chef Larry and Chef Jeff picking their hair out,
Yeah.
So for $20,
nobody wants their hair in the food.
No one does. Yeah. So for $20, well, Larry's bald now that I think about it, but for $20, you can get a great buffet dinner and a comedy show. A lot of people went to the one we did for the Christmas party, before Christmas, and had an absolute blast. And this one's going to be before New Year's. It should be fun. It's going to be a good time. So if you're looking to do something fun on your little break here, come out Thursday night and come have some laughs and enjoy yourself.
Come have some laughs.
Yeah.
Come on out.
And while you were nice enough to give me the opportunity to talk about that again, I will surprise you and say you should mention the show that you're doing in Westfield on January 20th at the Elks Lodge.
Yeah. I talked about this yesterday, and I'm a member of the Elks Club out in Westfield, and I talked about how all the great things that they do for the community.
Yeah.
To get away from the stigma that it's just two old guys fighting over the last ham hock in the jar on the bar. Who's gonna get that last pickled egg there?
Pickled egg.
That's mine, damn it! But it's so much more than that, and they really are. Again, get away from the stigma.
Yeah.
They do a whole lot for the community. Lots of stuff for the veterans. We take them on fishing trips. We do dinners for them. And just offer companionship to somebody who's lonely, sitting in a home. They also they provided. We were just talking about this yesterday with the
fishing trip for the Soldiers Home people.
The Grand Poobah,
the Grand Elk.
The Grand Elk, and we were talking about they deliver dictionaries. They deliver dictionaries to all the kids in the schools. Little personal dictionaries or whatever.
Yeah.
They provide those. They do clothing drives, food drives, toy drives. There's always somebody raising some sort of for some cause for the community, and that's what I'm saying. How important this place is. Well, they're dealing with some infrastructure issues over there. You got to remember the building is from
that's an older building. Yeah,
or probably maybe
it's nice inside. The building's beautiful.
It's
inside.
Beautiful. They did some renovations to it when they merged with the West Springfield one when they closed. And they merged with West Springfield. They had money and they rejuvenated the place, if you will.
Sure.
But the infrastructure is still failing. The sewer pipes. The sewer pipes are over 100 years old.
Big money.
And you're talking probably $12,000 to $15,000 just to get that done. So what we're doing is we're doing a comedy show. On January 20th. All the information's on my Instagram and my Facebook page, and the QR code is there to buy tickets. It's only $20. You don't get dinner with it.
Sorry.
But there will be food available for sale.
Right.
They'll have some refreshments there, and the drinks are cheap, and you're going to have a good time when you go there. So go to my Facebook page and buy tickets for the January 20th show.
I did that show for you. I did that show for you years back.
A couple of times.
Yeah. I think the last one I did was right around before the pandemic, maybe, with Tim McKeever. And we had a great night. It was a super fun time. It's a great way to see comedy, I'm not an elk. I'm a moose, so we have competing antlers.
But again, we talk about these social clubs. The moose do just as good as stuff.
Yeah.
You got to. It's not just finally we have the rivals back and forth, a moose and an elk fight in a parking lot.
Yeah, that's what we do. The moose wins, though.
Yeah,
I mean, moose. We're huge, giant. We're bigger. more
Yeah,
muscular.
well, the one in
animal.
Westfield closed, so it was right next to the Elks Club. I think we all know who won that battle.
Listen,
But,
Lodge
yeah.
1849
Yeah.
in Chicopee, the Moose right there, Fuller Road. Those
Yeah.
are my people. It's a
Those are
great
your
place.
people. You have the Moose Call out there, and you
Dude,
get
people should join the Moose. Wednesday nights they have chicken parm. It's dirt cheap,
Listen,
and
you
get a lot. Good food.
I joined the Elks Club back in like 2011.
Okay.
Right? And it was because I had other people that I knew that were friends that were like, hey, you should join. And I was saying to myself, I wish I had discovered this when I was 21 years old.
Yeah, saved
because
thousands.
And saved so much money. You know how much money I put on a credit card in college to buy a round of drinks for these friends that I paid for years of interest on that?
Yes, my
after
friend,
the
I
fact?
do know because I did the same exact thing.
Oh, look, this is the I'm still paying interest on that bourbon and ginger ale I bought at Whip City back in 2001. You kind of think
old
of it that
whip.
way. Yeah, the old whip. But it's a cheap place to go. And it's not even just that. They have other things there. They got like dinners and monthly events and things going on there. So it's really important that you keep buildings like this open and keep these clubs open, especially. And
they fill a gap in the community. That's the thing. The state can only do so much with what they do
Right.
for people, and then these private organizations like this that come in, they fill a lot of those gaps in.
Yeah, the artery to the community. It's
Right.
pumping blood to the rest of the stuff. You get a bunch of people together. They organize all these things for different groups, scholarships they offer kids. It's all these kinds of things. And if you don't have that anymore, then you're losing that as part of the community.
Dude.
So I encourage you to go to my Facebook page, buy a ticket for that January 20th show. Linda Belt will be there. Emily Sierra will be there. It's going to be a good time.
I might be in town that night, I think.
Well, you should show up.
So if I am, I will return the favor, and I will try to drop it if I can swing it.
I don't know if you are in town because I asked you to do this, and then
I
something
was.
happened.
I shuffled something around, but then I just had I had these people that I've done. It's another club, Italian social club, Marconi's.
Oh,
and
Marconi's.
and they hit me up. So I
He invented the radio, by the way.
That's you're exactly right.
Yeah.
And Enrico Fermi, another Italian, made nuclear science possible.
I
pretty
thought he
much.
made
Reactors.
fermented fruit in a
No.
chainsaw.
Fermenti.
Fermente,
No, people should buy tickets to go to that. And as I keep saying to people, every Thursday I'm doing this thing. And you know what? It's growing. The loft thing is really growing. As obviously a big part of that is to you and Bax for always letting me come in here and talk about it.
Shut up, Marty.
But
I like saying things to you when you try to be sentimental about it, and I shut up.
I sent you and Bax the nicest text on Christmas. I sent out no Merry Christmas text, but I was thinking about Christmas, and I was like, I have to send out this thing. And I sent out, I was like, hey, guys, gentlemen. I even said gentlemen in it to both of you, and I was like, gentlemen, I just want to say I hope you have a Merry Christmas, and it's not lost to me. Thank you for making it a great year for me. And then immediately got back some stuff I can't even say in the air from both of you. You said, shut up, Marty.
I just said, shut up, Marty.
Bax-
and then Bax had joined in. And,
Bax unloaded on me like it was 1980 with some hilarious stuff.
That just shows we care.
You know what? As a comic, that's how you know someone likes you, is when they're busting your chops. So I had a moment. I was like, oh, that's very sweet.
Well, because it's like, I get it. Like, I can get sentimental too. And, you know what? This is a really good moment or whatever. But I also be like, no, stop it.
You loser.
You loser. Yeah.
That's that for anyone who's listening that wasn't born and raised in like the 80s. That's how it used to be. You were raised to choke down those. Anytime you have a sentimental moment, it's like, what's wrong with you, you loser?
Yeah, you loser.
Having feelings.
I told you I got a buddy that he's a good friend of mine, and he writes me, "I love you, brother," kind of thing, and I'm like, and I write these nasty responses to him, I love you too, you sissy,
right,
something like that. So,
but that's how you know that you were raised in a good generation.
But again, we're running out of time right now. But again, if you want to have a good laugh for a great night of comedy, it's on January 20th. It's at the Westfield Elks Lodge. It starts at 7:30 p.m. The doors open at 6, and there'll be refreshments and all that stuff for you to purchase as well. You can get tickets online at my Facebook page or my Instagram page. There's a QR code on there. You can Venmo me money. And it's my real last name when you Venmo me. Because they have to use it for tax purposes.
Oh, that's why. So they see it and they're like, "What is this?
Yeah, who's this guy?
Who's this German?
Who's
this German?
Who's this George?
I looked to buy the tickets for the show.
You should buy the tickets for the show. Yeah. Do you want to see the Schlagen and the Noggin? Come to the Elks Club. Yeah. I'm a shoemaker. Yeah. It is 8:27. It's Bax and Nagle Light with Marty Caproni on Rock 102. Beat the clock at Leotoy. Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock, 841 in Boston on Rock 102. We have the Bax and Nagle show, Light with Marty Caproni here. I guess, hey, the fog is still pretty thick out there. There's lots of flights being delayed down at Bradley this morning. So if you're heading out, make sure you check your flights before you get to the airport. You don't want to be sitting there all day.
We were talking off air, and I was, you're plugging your comedy show on the 20th. I'm plugging Loft tomorrow, hoping that we get people out to the shows and this and that. And I said, the thing that's really got me upset today, Steve, is I mentioned that I want to be a backstage or whatever you'd call it. I want to go to like Lupa Zoo or Forest Park, and I want them to let me be like a little assistant zookeeper for a few hours or a day or something. Because I want to meet the animals and have the monkey on my shoulder and do the whole thing, And
well, you already got a monkey on your back.
Yeah,
one on your shoulder.
So thanks. I'm
sorry, I had to take that.
Yeah, it's fine. I've had it for decades. A chip and a monkey. So that's all I want, right? I mentioned it. I was hoping that someone would message me and be like, "Hey, man, I'm friends with the Lupa family, and I'll make it happen. You can be back there in the monkey house playing with the monkeys and petting the bear or doing whatever." Same thing with Forest Park. Figured someone would be like, "Hey, I'm a assistant zookeeper at Forest Park. Why don't you come in? We'll do some videos or whatever for social media." And not one thing. And then you said to me, well, a couple of years ago, I mentioned that I wanted some fresh milk.
Oh yeah, and I had all these farms reaching out to me, going, "Hey, you can come up and milk our cows, and you can drink right out of the teat." Well, not right out of the teat, but you could milk the cow and drink the fresh milk.
Are you sure it was a cow? You sure it wasn't just some guy in his living room?
No. It was actually they were legit farms. One was up in Hadley, and the other one was out in I think it's Southampton out there. I don't think Benjamin Bratt was going to be out there as well.
No, he's a lovely human being. But let me say this.
Yeah.
I asked you. I said, "Was it pasture?" So you finally got the milk, anyways. You didn't milk the cow.
Yeah, I wound up just because I don't have time. Like I would love to go out and do that kind of thing, but I just running around. You don't have that kind of time. The Mennonites up where I live, they have a farm and they sell like the raw milk.
So
in
it's
the jar.
not pasteurized.
Not pasteurized. Raw milk, fresh from the cow.
And this is what I wanted to ask you. We were coming back from commercial break. Did you get sick? How was it with your digestive system?
I didn't get sick. I was a little worried about that, but then the more you read about it, it's like one of those things. It's just like eating raw eggs. You could get sick from eating a raw egg randomly from,
salmonella or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, even the ones you buy in the grocery store, you're taking a chance if you're cooking over easy eggs, you're going to wind up having that bacteria. It's the same type of thing with the milk. There's bacteria on there that doesn't get burned off or boiled off, and if it doesn't sit well with you, if you have your immune system or whatever. But I was fine. I didn't drink like a gallon of it. I had half a glass of it. It was very thick.
That's what I was going to. So it tastes like milk?
It tastes like milk, but it's like it's almost like you're drinking heavy cream.
Oof.
It's
it
a little
gross.
I think it would be good if you used it for something, like used it for cooking or used it to make whipped cream or
buttermilk.
You can make buttermilk. You can make all kinds of stuff with it. I wouldn't be drinking that on the regular. You know what I mean?
All right. So now I have my answer because I've always been curious about. But I can't even drink full milk without my stomach getting upset.
Right.
Even 2% sends me for a loop now.
I like 2% milk.
I
you know who's got the best 2% milk?
Who?
For pasteurized commercial is BJ's.
BJ's.
Yeah, Wellesley Farms.
Really?
That milk is, for some reason, is like the best tasting, like commercialized milk that I've had.
I like Stony Hill Farms or whatever that is. I like
Yeah.
that. Horizon milk. I like that.
That's all local stuff too, right?
I
Isn't it?
think so.
Stony Hill.
I like a good hood. I like a good hood in the light black bottle. I like that milk.
Yeah, the light block bottle, so you can't see how bad it's going.
No, it's delicious. And then there's another one, Fairlife or whatever. It's so expensive. You know?
Fairlife is good. I drink those shakes.
Yeah.
The Core Life milkshakes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those are
workout.
good. Yeah.
I now am at a point where if I want to enjoy like a bowl of cereal, I have to get lactate milk
Like
with no lactose in the milk because it's just a gamble. I can't be on stage and all of a sudden
and then having to go to the bathroom in
Yes.
the middle of a set. Sorry, guys. Let me remember where we were.
I've had it happen to me.
I'll be
almost.
back in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I had it happen to me pretty recently where I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to ask the host to come back up here.
Did you?
No, I stuck it out.
Wow.
But I have been the host one time when the headliner was like, Marty, get back up here, and handed me the microphone and just took off to the bathroom.
You know, that's one of my biggest fears. And you know what happens to me when I get up on stage?
What?
You know, people are like, oh, wow, you handle yourself so well. Your stage presence, yada, yada, yada. But they don't know you're dying inside. Like, people don't know that what you're experiencing. And it's not that I'm dying inside. It's like your adrenaline is heightened and all that other stuff. And my nose starts running from breathing so much.
Oh, because that goes away if you've done it long enough and you do enough of it. But the tough ones are when there's stuff going on personally, like my mom, when my mother passed away, like pretty much in my arms in the ICU in Holyoke. I had a show that night at Mohegan Sun that they had said you can't cancel. They didn't know that my mom was sick, but they asked me to do the show, and I knew I couldn't cancel. So I went on stage and did my set, and then I came off stage, and I was in the back room. I just collapsed crying, and they were all like, what's going on? And I'm like, nothing.
Yeah.
And they're like, and then I explained, they're like, what's wrong with you, you psycho? But you got to do the job. My mom was always like, you show up for work, doesn't matter if you're not feeling good, you got to do the job. So to me, that was like honoring her, doing that. But, yeah, sometimes you don't know when you're up there.
See, I had a hard time doing comedy after my wife passed away. It was like it took me about probably 8 or 9 months before I got back up on stage, which was not a good idea.
Nope.
Because what happened was I'm not going to mention where it was or whatever because it's really not about the business. It's about me.
Okay.
And how it wasn't a good choice. And I was trying to tell these people maybe this isn't a good idea to do this. And we had like John Moses come up and do some time and all that stuff. But it was a New Year's Eve show, and it was like all this. It was like a guy who's going through what I was going through. Booze isn't the best idea to do that, and I that was probably one of the a night you'd like to forget.
Yes,
but there was so many things happening that night that was great. It was this big bougie dinner. They had open bar and there was DJ and all that stuff, and I did a lot of crowd work. But the problem with those shows are, some people are coming for the dinner, some people are coming for the dancing, some people are coming just for the booze, and only some people are coming for the comedy. So when you try to get everybody together on board, it doesn't tend to work out that great.
A lot of pressure. New Year's is the best money night for comedians.
Yeah.
New Year's and Valentine's Day, but a lot of pressure on that too because the ticket prices are elevated. You got to be funny. You know what I mean? Like, when someone's paying $50 a ticket, now they're $100 a couple, and now they got a hotel room and they got a babysitter. Yeah, and
this was like
a
whole package to go along with, and it was a great. Nothing against the business. It was about me.
But that's what I'm saying. That level of pressure on you as a performer, you're like, I really got to perform. I really got to perform. And how you handle that is really,
Well, I wound up doing some crowd work, which eventually didn't turn out too well because I was half in the bag. Yeah. I'm walking around just randomly picking on people, and I said something to this one group of folks who later then wrote a letter.
Oh God!
To the management of this place.
Oh God!
And actually wrote a letter to our boss up here
Oh, no way.
Yeah, about what a horrible experience she had. I made fun of her son at the table.
Oh, boy.
Because I said he looked like a henchman. He looked like he had like a knit hat on. It was like, what are you doing with a knit hat on inside of a venue that's like a ballroom? You shouldn't be doing that. But she complained, and it was like this 2-page letter, single space typed out, of all of the complaints that she had. Mostly it was about me. And about and me not playing. When the DJ portion started, that I wasn't. I should bring the letter in and read it.
We can do that tomorrow. That'd be fun.
Because it was a great spread put on by the venue.
Yeah,
and it was a good time. It was good food.
You just ruined it for everyone. I get it.
But she complained. Yeah, I did ruin it for everybody. Sorry about your $400 a night you just spent on the thing. But of all the things she complained about, there was one thing that she was like, but the squash soup was good.
That's how you know.
The butternut squash soup was good. And I'm
That's
like,
how you know.
Oh, okay. Well, at least you found some silver lining in the little dark comedy cloud you went to.
That's how you know that was really good soup.
Yeah, it was really good.
It had to be really good soup.
But talk about, you don't want to do that when you're in
it's part of the job, man. When you're not, listen, Carlos Garcia, very funny, my right-hand man there. He's opened for me for years, but he's also the house MC and my manager there at Loft. I remember Carlos was going through some stuff. He was off stage for a couple of years, and one night he was really struggling. I was like, hey, Carlos, why don't you get up on stage and talk about it? And he's like, you think I should? And I was like, sure. I gave him the worst advice possible because he got up and it all came to the surface, and we were like, oh, boy.
Yeah.
And he got on stage and he was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do comedy for a while. And he didn't for like a year.
Yeah, because you
can do it. But it is one of those jobs where, if you're doing it and that's your livelihood, you don't really have an option. You know what I mean? The show must go on, as they say.
The show must go on.
Yeah.
Which is why, after talking about all this bad thing about comedy, you should go to Loft on Thursday night for $20 a dinner and a show, and you can come to the Elks Club on January 20th for my dinner or my show with no dinner.
Hey, I'm going to say this again, man. These listeners are the most supportive of comedy almost anywhere, I think. They really do come out. They turn out. It's awesome. Every week get to meet new ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're appreciative and they get it. They have a good sense of humor. They don't get offended.
I noticed at Loft, there was a lot of same people that were there the last time, but then they brought other people with them that hadn't seen the show before.
Yeah, and that's
it's really cool to have people more people exposed to that.
That's what happened with that Christmas show we did last week. Was all these people came that had never come before, and then they were like, we're coming back next week. We're bringing our friends. So that's what I'm counting on for this week. I'm hoping that they come back and bring their friends and stuff. And
Benjamin Bratt will be there, too.
You listen, the invite stands, my friend. It stands to you, Benjamin, if you're at the Southampton Big Y.
You know what? He's probably been listening for the last 45 minutes ago. There's no way in hell I'm going to the Loft Comedy Club.
How crazy would it be if he showed up, though?
Because he probably knows more famous comedians that he could get a front row seat to somewhere.
I mean, considering there's no
yeah,
he might know just every comedian he knows is probably more successful than me. But you never know, Benjamin. I might surprise you, buddy. I'm pretty good at this.
Come on, Benjamin.
Come on, buddy.
Come on,
get
Benjamin
off the couch.
Bratt coming out to Loft. You can do it.
Imagine if he's just sitting there laughing right now in his kitchen, being like, "What is this whole show about me?"
Oh, somebody probably called him and said, "Hey, these two knuckleheads are talking about you on the radio. Turn it on."
It's them and all the monkeys in the monkey house at Lupa Zoo listening.
And then he heard me say that nasty thing about Sandra Bullock and how I didn't like Miss Congeniality.
I love Sandra Bullock.
He's a good actor. I just Sandra Bullock rubs me the wrong way.
I love Sandra Bullock. I think she's a fantastic actress.
Nope.
All right.
Nope.
You know what?
She's been in a lot of dumb movies.
She has a great career, my friend. A great career.
Yeah. You know what? If it wasn't for Keanu Reeves, Speed would have never sold a ticket.
Well, that's a deep cut going way back.
Who didn't like Bill and Ted? I mean, that's the kind of thing. That's why you watch Speed. You're like, oh, he's the guy from Bill and Ted, and he's playing He's playing a cop.
Keanu Reeves is considered probably the kindest actor in Hollywood. They say.
Yeah. He seems like a nice guy.
He lives in a modest apartment. He still takes public transportation, and he donates millions of dollars quietly per year. To
What's
causes.
Sandra Bullock doing?
I'm sure she does a lot.
Yeah. She was with that
How dare
tattoo
you.
guy or whatever his name. What was the guy's name?
Jesse,
whatever his
from
name.
the motorcycle thing.
Yeah.
I felt terrible for her when that happened to her.
What is the Sandra Bullock kiss ass all
She's
of a
so
sudden? What are you
sweet.
doing? What are you doing?
She's sweet and she's kind.
She's probably not a nice person.
I bet you she's
But you know
very
what?
nice.
If we only had firsthand information about what kind of person she is, Benjamin Bratt could tell us all about it. And
He
if
could. He could show up on Thursday. He could
show
do
up
5
to the
minutes.
Loft Comedy
I'll
Club
put him
for
right
the
on
$20
stage.
for dinner and a show.
Yeah. He should show up. That's
I think that would
freestanding.
be-
And so should Sandra if she happens to be in town.
I don't think she's in town.
No.
No.
We don't probably have any famous listeners at all, do we?
Huh?
We don't have any famous listeners at all, do we?
No, I don't think so.
I can tell you, not only do we not have famous listeners, we don't have any listeners from the Forest Park Zoo or from the Luba Zoo either.
Well, maybe not today.
Yeah,
because they
maybe.
got bright nights going on. You can't really go to the zoo right now.
Maybe someone will be over there with their phone out with the podcast, being like, no, listen to this right here.
Yeah,
They mentioned
listen right now.
he really wants to come over here and pet the bears.
Yeah, come on, he can do it.
How great would that be? I come in Friday missing 3 fingers. Like, turned out it worked out great.
Yeah, you're like, what's that grizzly guy with the?
Yeah. Do you remember that guy that used to go? He used to take all the nature videos of the bears and everything, and then he got eaten by him one day. They just found like his shoe and half his foot.
Well, that's usually how that happens. Look at Steve. What's his name?
Irwin.
Irwin.
Yeah.
No one loved
that
nature all his life, and he got stung in the heart by a stingray.
Crocodile hunter. You know what they did? They treated him mob style. They took him out with their friends, the stingrays. He didn't even see it coming.
Oh, hey, the stingray.
Hey, oh.
All right, so well, that does it for this hour. I don't know how to end it with you. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know how to wrap this up.
You know, it's a mix between funny and interesting, and trying to balance those out. And sometimes they nail it, and sometimes, I probably don't at all.
Well, I guess here we are. It's 8:57 with Bax and Nagle and Marty Caproni on Rock 102.
Do you want a Nissan?
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 912 and ELO on Rock 102. Bax and Nagle light this week. Marty Caproni's here in the hot seat.
Just love.
You don't like
it.
when I say that, do you?
Yeah, we're not light. We're doing just fine.
We were talking earlier about the place in Chicopee that was closing. The
herbarium.
Herbarium was closing after so many years. Well, guess another one up in Northampton. After 43 years in business in the Pioneer Valley, the Acme Surplus Store will be closing its doors.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Where is the Wile E. Coyote going to get all his TNT and his roller skates with the rockets on them?
Listen, Acme Surplus is a great store. Did you ever go?
Never went in there.
There was one at the Fairfield Mall in Chicopee.
Mm-hmm.
Everything inside was like natural wood.
Yeah.
And then they sold everything under the sun. They have clothes, they have hardware, they have games, they have cards, they have... I got my first harmonica from Acme Surplus.
Oh, how about that?
But the one in Northampton's awesome. I was so excited when I found it.
Was it like
there.
a railroad salvage store, or was that what it was?
No, it's like way better than a railroad, like way better. It's hard to describe. I'm sure some of the listeners are probably pulling their hair out right now, being like, no, it's not that, it's this. But it's basically like it's a surplus store, so it is in that regards, but it's well laid out, well managed, and it's just got awesome stuff in it. And I found the one in Northampton, and I was floored because it's in Thorns Market, which is awesome up there.
Uh-huh.
I found it a couple years ago, and I was like, this is so cool. There's still Acme Surplus. It's like a part of my childhood. And now that's closing?
Yeah, it's
this
closing.
Is ridiculous.
Longtime fixture downtown Northampton sold a variety of discounted goods. 22 News went out there and spoke with the owner, Carolyn, who said that after the passing of her husband, who was also the co-owner of the store, she said they are ready for the next chapter. And while it is bittersweet, she thanks the community for making their time in Northampton so memorable. The shop will be offering a retirement sale from yesterday until January 7th. The sale will begin with a 43% off everything. And there will be other deals to look through for the next 2 weeks. You know what? That's probably a place where you're actually going to get the actual percentage rate off.
Oh, yeah.
You ever see these stores that are like, we're going out of business.
Every day.
Everything is Christmas tree shops was the perfect example of that.
Yeah. Going out of business for 3 years?
Before the week before they announced that they were closing. This was over the summer, I think. A week before that, I was in there buying some stuff, like, because you can buy, you could buy stuff that was on sale in there, like suntan lotion and like pool supplies, stuff like that for the kids and all that.
Random stuff, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, but that's what the whole thing was about. It was, don't you just love a bargain? That was the whole tagline where you go into a place like that. And I go in there, 2 weeks after they announce, oh, yeah, we're liquidating everything in the store. Liquidation is run by outside companies who come in and go, you know what, if we just say all of this stuff is 70% off, but we're really not offering it for 70% off, people's minds are like, I got to grab all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, if you just went down the street to the Ocean State job lot, that same bottle of aloe that you just bought is actually $2 cheaper.
One of my favorite spots, job lot. I'm a big job lot fan.
I like job lot.
It's great.
I bought lots of stuff. You know what I bought there once? A giant oversized lawn chair.
At job lot?
It's like, those foldable chairs that you bring to like your kids' soccer games or something. It was one of those, but
the Big E version
holds like it's big for me.
That's awesome.
And you can't, your feet don't touch the ground.
I love job lot. You get some great. If you know how to shop job lot, you get some great deals in job lot. Baby.
Big Lots was all right, but it's more like that's the higher end trashy stuff.
Yeah, like job lot's like legit getting your closeout stuff. Yeah. The other thing about job lot, a lot of people don't realize is they do a ton for charity, quietly.
Yeah,
quietly. They do probably more for like the food banks, like here in Western Mass and all over New England and even parts of the country, Northeast. They quietly do. I met the dude from Java, this guy Dave. He was awesome. They do so much good for the community, and they don't do it. Some of these stores do the good for the community, but they do it really for business or a tax write-off or whatever. They do good for the community because they're the people who own it. Have a real passion about doing good for the community.
Dude, I do not buy into this Roundup business.
What's
the
that?
Roundup, like when you're at the
you want
to round up the extra 50 cents, make it a donation to whatever charity they're doing. And I'm like, they are collecting the money from you and then writing it and then making a check out to whatever organization that is, and then getting tax breaks from it because of your contribution to them.
It's exactly what.
And yet they turn, and I'm talking about these big name places like a CVS or a Walgreens or whatever, or whoever does this Roundup business. It's just it's a farce.
It's they beat you up so much with it nowadays. The other thing that annoys the crap out of me is how everyone gets a tip now.
Yeah.
Because no one pays their employees a living wage anymore. So now you go to pick up food, and they're like, "Would you like to leave a tip?" And it's right on the screen. So now you got the pressure. You're like,
yeah, they're watching you.
Yeah, like why did I drive down here when I could have just had the food delivered to my house now? Because I'm paying you a tip while I'm picking up the food.
There's and here's the weird thing about that: the small places, like small businesses, they don't even ask.
Right,
they don't ask. Because they know that if you have good service, somebody's going to give you a tip.
Right.
But, like, McDonald's has never done it, the tipping thing. But now places like Panera and
a lot of them,
like Starbucks now, they have now included it in the, like, not just on that screen, but if you're ordering on the app, they're like, hey, do you want to add a tip?
It's ridiculous. Yeah. Like, I'm driving here, I'm picking up, you're making it. That is your job. Your job is to make it. If I decide to give you a tip, it should be because of exemplary service above and beyond, i.e., you gave me a little something extra, you had it done fast.
Let's say I go to Starbucks and I pick up a coffee, right? I pay the $8 it is for a cup of Joe.
I'm already upset.
And then unless that barista hops on a donkey and goes to the hills and meets Juan Valdez himself to pick those beans.
Right.
How much do I need to give you for making something that you signed up in order to do? And I'm not trying to be crass about it because I worked as a waiter for years, but I also made $2.63 an hour. There's a big difference between making, what is it up to now? $15 an hour that people are making the thing. And again, I understand the economy and I understand how a job doesn't pay rent, something like that. But come on, how much do I have to keep shelling out?
Well, the reality is the job should be able to pay your rent. You should, if you work a 40-hour job, you should be able to pay a living wage. You should be able to have a living wage. And it's not up to the customers to subsidize the living wage that you don't want to pay your employees. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Listen, you and Bax are pretty entertaining on the radio. It's never really dawned on me that I should come down here and drop you guys a tip.
Nobody's ever given us a tip.
No.
We don't even
get
get
free meals.
tips before.
I can't even get the Lupa Zoo or Forest Park to let me be zookeeper for a couple hours, let alone a tip.
I'm sure that'll happen.
It's not going to happen. They don't care about
No,
me.
people come to give us tips all the time. They're like, you know what? You should really get out of this business. You're not going anywhere with it. That's a tip.
Here's a little
Here's
tip
our
for you.
tip for you.
Don't quit your day job. Here's a little tip for you.
But that's the thing. It's like, you could technically make an argument for any job.
Right.
That you would deserve a tip.
If you're exemplary in your job, then it should be the option for somebody to tip you. But they should not be confronted in front of your face with the tip on a screen where they can see whether you give them a tip or you don't give them a tip.
But it goes back to this pay-to-play thing that we were talking about like DoorDash.
Right.
The guy who tips the DoorDash guy $20 right off the bat
right,
is going to get his food to his house faster than the guy who only tipped him $5 on the order.
I don't think so, because DoorDash now has a thing where you can pay extra for quote-unquote priority service.
Yes, this is what I'm talking about.
This is all the BS.
Pay-to-play stuff.
And the DoorDash figured out, hey, we can, instead of that money going to the drivers, we can take that money.
Yeah.
Right? All we got to do is switch around the app and put in the order or whatever. It's BS, all of it. And Starbucks, by the way, you're going to go to a local coffee shop. All right? Don't go to you're going to go to Starbucks. First of all, you're going to wait in line, get treated like dirt, have them mispronounce your name, and then be confronted that you have to give them a tip.
Speaking of local coffee shops, I bought a pound of coffee from that Shelburne Falls place over here.
Shelburne Falls Coffee Roasters, East Long Meadow.
Christmas morning blend.
Yeah. Amazing, right?
Amazing.
Yep.
And I forgot that I don't have a coffee grinder at home.
Yeah.
But you can use a Cuisinart. I have a Cuisinart, and you just chopped it up. It might not get it as fine as you would in a coffee shop, but it was totally worth it.
Yeah.
It was totally worth doing it in the Cuisinart.
Shelburne Falls Coffee Roasters is an amazing business, and they get their beans from a roaster in the Berkshires, coffee supplier in the I think it's Berkshire Coffee. They were a client of mine back in the day when I had a day job. Great guys, but they do like fair trade stuff too. Like they do like fair trade coffee. Like they go out of their way to make sure that they get coffee sourced from places where it's not. Things aren't being treated like a third world country,
Yeah, right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got like a 12-year-old working like 90-hour days.
I'm trying to find this story because now that you triggered my memory.
I triggered you emotionally?
You triggered me emotionally, and it was a coffee place up. I don't think it was Shelburne Falls. I think it was maybe the Pierce brothers or something. They're roasting the coffee.
Yeah,
and wherever they were roasting it, this guy who had a big problem with the way the coffee smelled coming out of the thing, and he
got mad.
He was like the sole protester in front of this was going back years ago.
Okay.
And he was complaining about the smell, and I remember us making fun of the guy going, like,
what a jerk.
What are you
Who doesn't
talking
love
about?
the smell of fresh coffee
Well,
in the morning?
actually, roasted coffee does not smell that good at first because it's burning off, however they do it, however they put it in that roaster thing, it puts off a smell.
I grew up off Burnett Road in Chicopee.
Mm-hmm.
Literally a very thin strip of wood separated the BFI landfill from where I grew up. We would have loved the smell of roast coffee in the morning as opposed to the smell of
Yeah, but you know what? I
BFI.
used to live near a place that did it, that roasted their own coffee, and it really does have this bitter smell that's not that pleasant.
All right, well.
So this guy was complaining. What is this one? This is from 2016. An article in the August 11th issue of the Greenfield Recorder discussed new efforts by a local business, Pierce Brothers Coffee Roasters on Hope Street, to contain the odors and toxic fumes created in their coffee roasting process. This is welcome news. This is an opinion piece. I live on Hope Street near the roasting facility. The odor of large batches of coffee being roasted is nothing like the pleasant smell of coffee brewing in the morning. Strong, like acidic smell to it. According to the Centers for Disease Control, coffee roasting produces noticeable amounts of sulfur dioxide. So it does. It smells.
All right, fine.
But I'm trying to find the story of the guy who was out there like by himself
Protesting,
like, shut down these coffee beans.
You're not going to get anybody the way Americans are with coffee. You're not going to get anyone to support the effort to do anything that takes coffee away from people.
Probably not.
No.
You got to get on a good bandwagon that everybody hates.
It's like going to Miami and protesting cocaine. You know what I mean? I mean, come on, stop.
Look, we got somebody that can do some work with you from some action at the Lupa Zoo.
What?
This guy will be at the show on Thursday night for Loft Comedy Club, and he'll fill you in on all the details. How about that?
Stay tuned, baby. I'm spending a day with a monkey. I'm excited.
We'll see you back here tomorrow.
I'll be here all week.
It is 9:25. It's Bax and Nagle Light with Marty Capone on Rock 102. Beat the clock at least.